Now, I think it's fair to say that 2023 has been an incredible year for Warframe, easily one of, if not its best year in terms of updates, content, and of course quality of life additions to the game. And I don't say that lightly either, because there has been some incredible updates in the past years, but as an overall year, this one has kind of been great. Maybe you think differently. By all means, let me know in the comment section below. Hey, what's up you beautiful feckers, how you all doing? Now, Warframe is the best that it has ever been, and if you're wondering whether you should return to it or jump into it for the first time, I would say yes. The game has so much to do right now for new players and return players that it is kind of crazy. 2023 started off pretty much the same as our previous years, right? An update. CITRINES' Last Wish gave us a new Warframe in Citrine, new weapons, some 10th gen deluxe skins, basically the usual update, but it did also give us mirror defense missions and the lore of BLAEKER and Rania. Citrine turned out to be easily one of the best new additions to Warframe in a very long time, a super status spreader, tanky as all hell, but also incredibly good at killing enemies as well. And this would be the first of a string of really strong Warframes to be added into the game this year. Now, Hildryn Prime was added in March and reinforced her as one of the best tanks in the game, but it was also a minor update that brought not much else to the game. So up until this point of the year, everything was looking as it normally would for the last few years, but we knew that there was a very unique update inbound, a new way to play Warframe, and our first major quest update since, I think, the new war. I don't think Veilbreaker had much of a major quest. And with this upcoming update, of course, you also had the man in the wall hanging over us. It is, of course, the Duviri Paradox. This arrived in April, and it was something completely new, and at the time it was an option for new players to go down a different starting point. This left it really confusing for new players, which is why the developers later removed it as that new player option. But Duviri was incredibly different. It was a roguelite open world ruled by a petulant child who could change the visuals of that world depending on their mood. Duviri was also where you could only use your operator, but power creep was unrestricted. With enough boons, you were practically God. But it was pretty grindy. And it was operator only as well, which a lot of players felt they wanted to play Warframe to actually play as a Warframe, not as the operator. So of course, the update was a little bit wasted on them. It was a beautifully crafted world with plenty of lore, islands going missing, giant hands encroaching, a lighthouse and its keeper swept away into the void, plenty of amazing characters, and somewhere for us to farm what is still the best sets of weapons in the game in the Incarnate adapters that you get from the circuit. And again, while it was a fun update, it was also very much outside of what Warframe players were used to, and you either liked it or you hated it. So the community had a divide. It did, however, show that the new dev team were willing to try something different, new challenges, and whether you liked it or not, from a design standpoint, it was pretty amazing. Now, following the Duviri update, we had of course got the 7 Crimes of Kullervo, which arrived in June, and it was another branch of Duviri. It was set within that new open world, and it gave us Kullervo, another new Warframe, and at this point, DE were hitting it out of the park when it came to new Warframes. Kullervo and Citrine are, I guess, grade A or even grade S Warframes, depending on who is using them or their opinion. All amazing new frames with really good ability sets and synergy between those abilities as well. Now, the echoes of the Duviri update followed in July with Wisp Prime, Fulman Prime, Gunson Prime, and the Argo and Vel melee for Drifter. It also added some new content in the Undercroft in Duviri and the circuit, with those Jackal assassination missions added into rotation. And on top of this, they added 5 new Incarnate weapons with the Boar, the Gammacore, the Angstrom, the Gorgon, and of course the Anku. All just okay Incarnates, not exactly the peak of our Incarnate adapters. They also added some changes to how impact, puncture, and cold status procs would work, which would turn Frost into an even better Warframe, but for the most part, it was a pretty small update. Now, the Abyss of the Dagath update arrived in September, and it was another new Warframe added into the game, in Dagath, and just like Kullervo and Citrine, she was a really solid Warframe. But the Abyss of the Dagath update also added easily some of the best quality of life changes and additions to Warframe that we have seen in years. This update was huge, just because of that. It gave us a Hildryn rework, right? That made him amazing. I know, it's a lot to process. Hildryn is actually really good right now. The update also gave us a huge quality of life pet and companion rework that left us all with so many choices now when choosing which pet you want to run with. The new player experience was streamlined better with mastery rank blocks removed from quests, allowing you to progress faster as a new player. Hildryn Prime, his weapons, huge shield and shield gating changes which had players now shield gating with certain Warframes. These shield changes were probably the biggest addition with this update because it made the community step back and take another look at some of their favourite Warframes and companions and then remod them in order to take these new shield changes into account. So it freshened things up in a huge way. So add the shield changes to the companion rework, to the Hildryn rework, to 3 of the best new Warframe additions to the game in a single year, as well as to Duviri being something completely different, and you have a new dev team that wasn't afraid to try new things, but on top of that was giving us some of the best quality of life additions and Warframes into the game in a single year than we have ever seen in previous years. So you can insert Pablo as Jesus' image here somewhat because plenty of people are praising Pablo, but it was a complete team project, it wasn't just one person. Which leads us up to where we are right now. The Whispers in the Wall quest, which arrived in December, was the biggest update of the year. A quest around the Void playing with the emotions of Lloyd, a Frankenstein laboratory full of new factions, new mysteries, giant vessels, a talking fish, a book that spawns in a boss, a depressed Tagfor, new Archon shards with missions to collect them with the Netrocells, our first clan event in 2 years, new arcanes and plenty of ways for you to farm arcanes, as well as the arcane dissolution system where you can then dissolve arcanes and buy bundles of arcanes from previous updates. There is new mission types, the new Tenokai melee system for heavy attacks. There is Corvex, the new radiation based Warframe, which is probably the weakest out of the new frames added this year, but is still a solid addition when you look at some of our other 50 something plus Warframes. And of course we had a boss fight that is the best fight in the game right now, the best one they've ever added. On top of this, we got to play the Warframe 1999 segment, that small segment that we've seen at TennoCon with Arthur, AoE and Albrecht, which left us with a taste of what to expect with next year's major update and left us wondering where exactly the story is about to bring us. And just before Christmas, the stream started to roll out cross save in waves and will hopefully be opening it up to everyone else in the new year. This is probably one of the biggest additions to the game cross-save because over the years lots of players have drifted away because they have changed console to PC or vice versa, and this is allowing those players to come back to their existing accounts because creating a new account is what was stopping them from jumping back into Warframe in the first place. They didn't want to lose all of the progress that they had on those accounts. So cross-save means that they can jump from a console account into a PC and vice versa. Now, it has been one hell of a year for Warframe, don't get me wrong. I know that there has also been downs and at times throughout the year where things got nerfed or changed and the community wasn't happy, like the heirloom skins and the price that was attached to those, which caused a lot of issues. But for the most part, it has been a solid year, and hopefully next year we'll pick up where we left off with cross-save and maybe with that echoes of the Whispers in the Wall update that Pablo kind of mentioned on the last dev stream. Whatever next year brings, I genuinely wish you all a happy new year, and I do hope that next year brings you everything that you are looking for. But have a great day, have a great week, and as always, thanks for watching.